So I always give the disclaimer first to that persona. Like, hey, going to college for computer science is one of the more useful degrees. Like, it's a pretty decent use of your time over a 4-year period. You're going to learn some good stuff. And it'll give you a nice foundation if you do the work and aren't just spending your time in college partying and all that stuff. So if that's the route you want to go and you want the college experience and mommy and daddy are paying for college, whatever, go ahead, fine. That's, be aggressive with your internships, be aggressive with your coursework. You want to be pursuing those things very aggressively so that when you get out of college, you're already in a good position to be in a job, right? Yeah. So especially junior and senior year, I would say from sophomore year up, honestly, if you're really aggressive, why not every year? But sophomore year and up, at least really pushing heavy towards those internships, trying to get good internships at good companies and get some valuable experience, right?
What would you define as a good internship for that person? What should they be looking for?
So this requires a little bit of thought at that age, right? Because like if you're going to school for computer science, that's a very broad degree and there's a ton of jobs within that spec. You have software engineers, you have all of this stuff we've talked about around technology sales, you have the data science route. You can from computer science, you can choose to dive specifically into whatever you want to. So those first couple years, right? Freshman, sophomore, junior year, gain internships that give you diverse exposure.
Absolutely.
Right? So you may want one internship that's heavy software engineering. You may want another internship that's focused on AI, machine learning, data science, get exposure to that. You may want something else that's on the DevOps heavy automation side of things, just as examples. But you want to kind of have a few categories of interest and pursue jobs and internships in that time that expose you to all of that. By the time, in my opinion, you get to your senior year, you should ideally be having an idea of what it is the job you want to pursue after you graduate, and have had the exposure. Those are the people that I've met that have done the college route correctly. To me, that's what they did.
The difference.
Yeah,
that's really big. Because I remember at 18 years old, I'm working in electrical. And I came off 4 years of high school training in electrical. I knew my information. I knew my my trade. But something a gentleman said to me was, we appreciate what you have, but I'm going to be honest with you. We're going to look to mold you, regardless of. You have a strong base for us to mold, but we're going to teach you how to do it our way. And being 18 to 22 in that 4-year period, I think the vast level of exposure that you receive through these different internships is what allows that foundation to be built very strongly. Because companies will be willing to take those chances on you, willing to move into these. I remember previous companies, they had those specific recruiting programs where they'd pay you. That's another discussion that we can have, because I found constantly that people were at the back end of it and the work they were giving the company was not matching up the check the company was giving them. But that mold, and I'll say this for myself as a person who's really new and really novice at that time when I joined, they do look to mold you. Hey, you'll build it to our way and how we do things here, and then they can succeed here. Do you think that's a good thing?
Yeah, be molded. I mean, college isn't going to give you the practical experience. The internship is there in my mind as the practical experience, and college is giving you a lot of good theoretical things that you are going to use in your practical experience. Now, the things that you'll use, you may not think that you're going to use those things, but you will. I think really in computer science, and I'm someone, like I said, from a non-traditional route, but the things I had to go back and learn around, data structures, algorithms, those types of things, you learn those in your computer science degree, and that's the stuff that really becomes useful. But college teaches you very little about the practical side of doing a job, of a software engineer, of a web developer, of a data scientist or data engineer, etc., right? So you need the internship to teach you how that job works day to day. You won't learn that at school about how the job works day to day. So when you go into internship, allow them to mold you to what it looks like for them with the idea in mind, hey, this is how it works here. I'm going to be at a few different places ideally before the end of college.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to see how it works multiple places.
I think that's really interesting because like I always laugh and joke. When I joined my first company in tech, like I took the full gallon of Kool-Aid and drank it as fast as I could. Where I was, this is amazing, and I'm not outside sweating, so I'm happy with everything that happens in this air-conditioned building. And I'm just like, they want innovation, and they want to be amazing and be kind and all these things. This is going to be awesome, and I'm never going to leave. And I think it was, in hindsight, it was a very immature, very novice thought to that point. And as a person in that situation with a family to feed, I had to think 2, 3, 4 times before making that shift. But being in that age range, potentially not having a family to support, being able to find those different things, I think that experience moves in your favor, like you mentioned, because now you can say, hey, you know what, I don't, and you have ways to compare it. Hey, I don't like the way that culture works. Sure, they do great work. They pay a lot of money, but I literally was leaving every day with my hair in my hands from pulling it out. That's just not the type of situation I want to be in. Or you go into the next one, it's just like, this is kumbaya. They got chocolate milk Thursdays. Everything is, they got ping pong tables and pizza parties. It's crazy. But like, I can't pay my bills.
Yeah.
But you're able to find those different angles at a time period where the pivot's easier, if I might say.
Yeah. There's going to be trade-offs with whatever company you work at. You know, you want to find a company that ideally fits with kind of your values to a degree, but let's just be real, this is work.
Yeah.
This is work. This is a way to make money to sustain yourself and your family if you choose to have one. That's how I view it. And outside of that, you know, I'm not really getting so romantic when it comes to work. You have to decide up front, in college as well, if we're talking to the same persona, decide tangibly how much money you want to make. So you know the field you're going into. If you decided to go into computer science, you know the field you're going into, right? But you still have to decide how much money you want to make in said field.
So before we even get deep into whether we're talking money or any of these different things, if we're breaking down values, clearly money and compensation is a top thought when it comes to value, right? What are some other values that a person could carry with them?
Well, when I'm evaluating a company, yes, compensation is right up there near the top of my list. The only thing that would trump that is if I'm going into a situation where I have a toxic manager, someone who's not actually going to care about your progression as a person, right? And as someone in your field. If you're under a manager who's trying to hold you down and trying to prevent you from growth because they're afraid you're going to leave, right? That's a situation. I don't care how much money you're offering me.
The reddest of red flags.
Yeah, I'm not going to jump into it because that's going to prevent me from actually getting where I need to go. If there's a really toxic work schedule, right? If they're like, oh no, we expect you to put in, you know, we say 8 hours a day, but we really expect, because of timelines and all of that, a consistent 12 to 18 hours, 18 is extreme, but let's just say 12 to 15 hours a day. Like, no, I'm not.
Those are always the company screaming work-life balance too. I don't know why. Yeah. It's like you're lying.
Yeah. And what I'm not saying here is like there'll always be a project deadline that comes up where you maybe have to put in a week or two of exorbitant work.
Absolutely.
Right? Where you're averaging that 12 plus hours a day. But if that's more than a week, I say 2 weeks because that's my absolute maximum.
If it's not for a reason.
Yeah, if it's not for a reason and it's continuous and it's not an extenuating circumstance and there's not a clear end to when this happens, no, it's not okay.
This is constantly happening. It's like every email coming into your inbox is marked urgent. Like how could these all be urgent?